people know, like, your wife, you tell her where you are and stuff before you head out?
Yeah, I always tell my wife where I'm going to be at, and usually around what time I should be home. And if I'm digging a deep, deep hole, then I'm very cautious. I come out, I check for cracks and things trickling down. Even though I don't show it on my video, I'm constantly monitoring what's going on. And when it gets to the point where it's too unsafe, I do what's called a controlled collapse and intentionally make it fall. And then that's just part of digging. And then you just clear out what fell down and continue. I like to do what's called trench digging. It's real simple. You dig a hole straight down to the bottom, and then you just start moving forward until it's too unstable. Do a controlled collapse, push it all behind you, which fills in the area you already dig, and then you just keep going forward. It's real simple.
And do you ever find some cool stuff when you do those control collapses and then push things back? Do you find things in that
Yeah,
area as well?
absolutely. You wouldn't believe sometimes the most amazing things are just like inches under the ground. It's wild. Sometimes they're inches and sometimes they're laying right on the very bottom.
Now, I know you spend a lot of time actually filling back in these privies as well and setting the grass back and everything too. When you're sifting everything back into the hole and tossing it all in, have you ever found anything that you might have missed coming out?
All the time. All the time. And people's like, you need to get a sifter, you need to metal detect the spoils pile and stuff. And so I started doing that, and it does pay off sometimes, but for some reason, the majority of the time, I eyeball the best things without using my pinpointer or sifter or anything like that. But yeah, one time I was filling in a privy, and it was literally all the way back, filled in the hole to where you could start seeing the tarp again under the dirt. And I eyeballed a button, and I picked it up, and it was an 1840s Scoville military button.
Oh, that's cool.
Pre-Civil War, and it's in such good condition. I still have it with the shank and everything.
I think we did have a question in chat. Are the privy holes that you dig, are they lined with anything, or are they just a hole in the ground? I think you can.
Yeah, actually they are. In my area, they had a lot of German immigrants come to this area to do the coal mining and work on the railroads and stuff back in the 1800s. Well, they were master masons, all of them. So over here anyway, a lot of the privies are stone lined, beautiful stacked stone. And even after 150, 200 years sometimes, it's still just like the day they put it in. But yeah, every privy is either wood lined, stone lined, or brick lined. Every single one of them.
That's awesome. And that makes it easy
sometimes
too.
they're like a bucket privy where literally the person would just take a bucket and bury it in the ground in the hole, or it would be a really nice elaborate 2 to 4 seater, with nice defined walls and everything. And a lot of the times, if they were real nice, like on hotels and saloons and stuff, they would be insured, and you can find them on the Sanborn maps.
Fantastic. That was going to be another question, is how do you do the research? Yeah.
Sanborn maps are a great research tool for finding the property lines, but the majority of the residential privies were not insured, which a Sanborn map is an fire insurance map. So if the privy was not insured, it wasn't included in the sketch. But you can still find the original property lines, and that's usually where the majority of the privies were put, is on the edge of the property lines in the backyard. So once you've established your property line, you basically just do what's called a grid pattern, kind of like metal detecting. You just go back and forth to not miss any area, except you're pushing a probe in the ground, so it's a lot more physical. And then when you finally find it, it's like you hit a void of air and you just kind of fall into it, And then once you find that, your probe actually has a special tip on it that brings up a sample. of what you're pushing down into, so you can see your brick ash or your wood ash or even your use layer in that little sample, and you can tell it's a privy. Once you've determined that it's a privy, you go at an angle, and you can lay all the walls out. So you can do all of this without even digging a single hole at all. Lay the whole entire format of the privy out.
That's so awesome.
It's like a big present, like a big treasure box.
I love it.
And yeah, that I was gonna say. So, I'm gonna say first, and then I'll go back to. So, do you do other types of treasure hunting? Obviously, you said that you metal detect. Um,
Yeah, I do metal tech. I'm not the greatest at it, but I have found some really incredible stuff. I found a Union Federal Parrot artillery shell, still armed with the fuse in it that I had to get disarmed. That was wild. I found a cannonball. I have found all kinds of like large scents from the Civil War period, Indian heads, different kinds of tokens and buckles. I love metal detecting, but my passion is bottle digging, and I like hiking, exploring. I want to get into diving. I know there's a lot of relics in the rivers and stuff too. I want to get into diving, scuba diving really bad.
yeah, I bet you do great with one of those. What is it called, Gypsy, that you've got? The Blue 3?
Yeah, Blue 3, they make several different ones. If you're needing one, it's good for learning to just shallow dive without having to get, like,
Tanks.
you still have to kind of do a little certification, but you don't have to worry about tanks or anything. So if you're interested, Travis, let me know.
I absolutely am interested, Gypsy.
Nemo.
Okay.
Yes, Nemo, that's it.
Nemo, yeah. So there's a brand new Nemo. They did make a recall recently on the one I have, so I may have to get a different hookah system. But they've got a brand new Nemo out that is really nice. So, yeah, a lot of our listeners in here are saying, like Andy, he's got one. So a lot of them use it. Really great. You don't have to worry about, tanks. You just make sure you have extra batteries or a couple extra batteries and pay close attention. But you definitely have to take like a little, kind of like a diving course online, just mainly just for safety because, of course, with anything, safety involved. But it will change your world because there's a wealth of stuff underneath, as you already know, because if it's, what people ask me all the time, Gypsy, how do you find your dumps? Well, 90% of the dumps that I've ever found have been by a creek or a river. So I'm sure you already, creek diggers, but so.
Oh yeah, I love finding creek dumps, and you can wash your bottles right there as soon as you pull them out of the ground.
Right there. Exactly. So.
Just like my last video, I dug a gorgeous poison bottle, nasty, muddy, mucky, couldn't even hardly read it, and the creek was 2 feet from me. Cleaned it up in like 10 seconds.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so good to have that right there because when you're out in the dump, like out in the woods or something or behind a house, you don't have the access to be able to clean them besides swiping the mud or the dirt.
I know. People's like, you should carry a bucket of water with you. I'm like, you know how far I'm walking out to these dumps?
And how
Holy
much
crap.
Yeah. And even though you'll bring back less water than you brought in, you're gonna bring out like the amount of heavy glass and other pieces.
A bucket of bottles, over a mile trip. I'll tell you what, it feels like your arm's gonna fall off.
Yep.
And then you got your shovels and whatever other gear you took in, your hygiene stuff for your water to stay hydrated, and your gloves and your digging materials. All that stuff weighs you down.
Oh, it does. And that's when it's handy when you're going with, when I go, usually we try to go as a team so we can backpack a lot of our stuff because I do a lot of sifting. So I have to bring my sifting, and then you got My friend that I got into it, she has to bring all of her bottle probes too and all that. It's just like so much stuff. And you have to
It is a lot
you
of
have to have
gear
your
to haul
water.
out.
But Jeff, our friend Jeff in chat mentioned, the Nemo is a 10-foot, but the Nomad, which is what I also sell now too for the hookah, is it's I think a 30-foot.
Yep.
Hose. So yeah. So anyway, keep that in mind, because I know that it's surprising in those rivers and creeks and stuff how deep some of those pockets are where that stuff gets, stuck. So
yeah,
anyway.
and I have fished the river for a good many years now, so I know all the deeper holes and the better places to search. I can't wait.
Well, it'll take it to a whole new level for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
The next thing is
several...
waterproof casing for your video stuff.
Yeah, that's your next thing. That's where the GoPros come in handy for sure, and all that fun stuff. So it's a whole new world, because everybody's going to want to see what you're doing underwater for sure.
So
yeah, I tried the GoPro, and the waterproof case would muffle the sound so much I'd almost have to yell
they make new
to
ones.
make my videos, and people's like, your sound sounds horrible. Do something about it.
I
started using my cell phone, and I love it.
I use my cell phone too. Yeah, I use my cell phone too for all my YouTube videos. But I will say the newer GoPros that don't have that plastic case that they make now are much better than the ones. That when I first started my YouTube channel and tried to use, the sound was terrible. I went through the same thing. But
okay, I'll have to check into that then.
Check in the newer ones, especially if you do go underwater. Although what I have done, and you may want to do it too, you can get them on. What I prefer over the GoPro, honestly, is I have my phone. I bought a case. I can send it after we get off air tonight if you're interested. I have a case that I bought. It is a little expensive. Well, expensive for me. Maybe not to a lot of people, but it's expensive to me. But my phone, my iPhone will fit inside it, and it's a waterproof case for my phone, and it works great. The only thing is of course you're not recording, your sound underwater.
Right.
But that you can always voice over later if you need to, which is easy.
Yeah, I still have not messed around with that. I've never tried
if I can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So believe me, and especially, I don't know how you do your editing. We can discuss all that later, but we don't want to bore our listeners with editing and videos and stuff. But people don't realize that we put work into this. So.
Anyway. Absolutely.
But because it's hard to hold a camera or set it, you have to take the time to set it up to watch you pull out a bottle or something like that. Believe me, I know. So let's go back to, I know Amanda and I've got a list of questions for you. There's a few other questions that we want to touch on before we run out of time. Amanda, you got our next question?
Sure. No,
No.
We love it. We love the stories and talking back and forth.
Yeah.
So I know I found some crazy stuff in dumps and creepy. What has been the creepiest thing you have found while digging, either the dumps or the privies?
I have found a good many creepy things. Usually it has to do with dolls. Very strange doll heads that are not like your typical doll shape. I found them with horns. I found them with like big long noses, like fox looking things.
Ew.
I found one that was like the old jester clown. I guess they used to wear bells on their head, but it was very demonic looking.
Ooh.